I'm actually making homemade buttermilk biscuits this, well, afternoon. I've actually made them before, but I've never actually made them on live. So maybe a few of you will see this. And meanwhile, I use the white lily self-rising flour. You can use any type of flour you want. I'm not advertising for white lily. It's just the type of flour that I use. And I don't sift my flour. Back in the day, my mom used to sift her flour. And I already shredded butter, real butter. You can use margarine or you can use Crisco shortening, any type of shortening that you want. These are just my preference, as well as sour cream. You don't have to use sour cream, but I do. And I'll just kind of, I would say I probably have about 3 cups of flour in here. And then I kind of, maybe a 1/4 cup of 24-ounce Daisy sour cream. You don't have to use sour cream. Actually, you can just make biscuits using flour and water. May not be as fluffy, but they'll still turn out and be biscuits. Okay. So I like to crumble. I kind of stir all that up together. And remind you, I already shredded up a stick of butter. As I say, you can use margarine. You have some people that make a well in the center, but I don't do that. I just kind of make sure that all of my ingredients are incorporated together before I pour in the buttermilk. So really, the only thing I'm using is the self-rising flour. Maybe about 4 ounces of sour cream, shredded butter or margarine, and buttermilk. And I really don't measure my buttermilk. See, what I was doing was just crumbling up the ingredients here. And this is my buttermilk, and I kind of just go with the feel, go with the way it looks, because I'm really used to making biscuits. I don't use a pinch of salt because it's salt already in the butter. And there's probably, yeah, I see that there's a little bit of sodium even in the flour, so you don't need any salt unless you just want some in it. See how it's beginning to look? And then when it gets pliable, where I can pick it up, I don't have like a rolling paper or anything that I put the dough on. So I'm just guessing at once it gets to the point I can pick it up and it's not going to stick all over my hand. See what it looks like now? Yeah, it's almost there. And as I said, biscuits are very easy to make. You don't want to overwork your flour because the biscuit will have a tendency to be tough. But if you just like any kind of biscuit, you don't care whether they're fluffy or you don't care about the texture too much, you can make biscuits using water. Plain old water. You don't even have to have milk, any kind of milk. Back in the day, my mom used a can of carnation milk. She didn't even use buttermilk, but we ate them. So there it is. It's looking about the way I want it to look. And then I'll just come back and sprinkle, go back, that is, and so that I can make sure all of that's incorporated in together. I get some flour even with my hand. Nobody's eating the biscuits but the people here in this house. And that's just me and my husband. And my son may eat some. Yeah. I usually share my biscuits with him, which is what I'm not cooking them today, but you should see a thumbnail of my biscuits, after they're done. And you can, I hadn't wiped them with butter or anything. You see that flour gets it to the consistency where you can pick it up. You see that? And you don't want to do too much work in it because this process here actually makes the biscuits tough. I clean my surface here, which is right on my countertop. Some people may not like using their countertop to cut out the biscuits, but that is all I'm about to do. And I've been doing it for quite a while. I haven't damaged my countertop yet. The important thing is to make sure the countertop is clean. See that? So I'm going to sprinkle the top here just a little bit. And the only thing I'm going to do is just mash these things out and I'll be done with it. I'm sorry that you can't see what I'm doing here. I'm going to try to lower this camera a little, just so you can see what I'm doing. You still can't see it. I guess I gotta learn how to tilt it. But you see what I'm doing here? I'm only gonna like pat the bread out. I'll pull the bread back just a little bit, because I'm pretty much done. The only thing I'm going to do is cut them out. You see that? Flip it over if you want. You don't want your bread to be, I don't, depending on the thickness, how much you pat it out. Pat it down to, that is. Depending on how thick you want them. I don't want them real thin, and they don't have to be real thick, even though I prefer them about 1.5 inches thick. And you'll notice I didn't use baking soda, because you don't need them to rise them. I'm already using self-rising powder. Flour, that is, self-rising. If you use plain flour to make your biscuits, you just add a teaspoon of baking powder along with your inside each cup of flour that you use. But if you have self-rising flour, you really don't need. And if you want real tall biscuits, I guess it wouldn't hurt to use it. And I just use these old collard green choppers here. I do flour it a little bit and just cut them out. And then what I do, I freeze them. Like I said, I'm not going to cook them on this video. You already see the last batch on the thumbnail that I actually cooked. And then what I do, I actually place them on a pan because I freeze them. You see what that biscuit looks like? And that's going to be a really big biscuit. And I place them on a pan, and I put them in the freezer, and then I bag them. So I don't have to buy bagged biscuits. This one is a little raggedy. This one, a little raggedy, so I'll just fold that one back in. And I can stand to flatten this out a little bit more. That's all you do. And you just cut them. Hopefully you can see them a little bit. But I was going to buy me a biscuit cutter. Then I saw that they selling these, and it has biscuit cutter. They can use for chopping, be used for chopping greens and biscuits. So I said, wow, I've got 2 of these already around here. So you don't need a biscuit cutter if you already have a green chopper. Okay, once you cut them out, and then you can make them smaller if you want to. And they are better than any bagged biscuit you can ever buy. Trust me. Just doing what you just saw me do on that video. You can't buy a bagged biscuit that tastes as well as your own biscuits, homemade biscuits. And then once you cut it all out, you go back and you just fold your flour again, fold your dough. Again, don't overwork it. You just fold it a couple of times, get those raggedy pieces back together, those cutout pieces, edges, fold them back together. As I also did a biscuit that didn't look quite like I want it to look. And then I would say at least make the dough at least a quarter of an inch thick. Okay. Okay. You can see once you cut them out, you can see how thick they are. They may not look that thick on video, but they are thick. They're going to be nice and tall. And it's amazing how many biscuits a little bit of flour will make. Look at that. You see that? So that biscuit is going to rise twice the size it is. Look at this one. This one's really thick. Okay. And then I have more. And once I freeze them, then I put them in a Ziploc bag, and when you get ready to cook them, you don't have to worry about making biscuits every time you cook. Like I said, the biscuits on the thumbnail, I cooked those yesterday, earlier today. And the ones actually I have a couple laying here that we didn't eat. So there's another one. So it's amazing how many biscuits you can get out of a little bit of dough. Look at that. That's probably 2 more biscuits, at least 1 oversized biscuit and a small one. But let's see what we can get out of this little bit. See? And then this one is going to be a smaller biscuit, and I probably just do a little hand roll with this. And again, you don't want to roll it to the point where it's so tight. So that's a little hand rolled biscuit. And then that's it. These biscuits go in the freezer, and you bag them up, put them in a Ziploc, and when you get ready to cook, take. Okay, so my live froze because the phone rang. So anyway, here are the biscuits. You see how many I got? That little, and that's the small one right there that I ended up just rolling with my hand. I actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, 17, I would say, and a half biscuits. And then now they just go in the freezer. And once they get hard where you can handle them and freeze them where they won't stick together, then when you get ready to cook your breakfast or whatever, you just take however many biscuits you want out at the time. So that's what I'm doing. You can't see me, but I'm actually placing them in the freezer. And I just broke my fingernail. So there they are, if you can see them. Now, if you can see the biscuits, there they are. I place them in the freezer. Once they freeze, I actually bag them and that's it. Okay? Trying to cut this off. Okay, this is still on, guys. Hey, this is my first live video all the time, but I've never actually done a live. So I'm trying to figure out how to end this thing. Somebody help me. But that still got flour all over my hands, but I'm done with the biscuits. Oh, gosh. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. All right, guys, forgive me. Hopefully somebody will run over this and take a look at it for me. And if you have any questions about maybe some processes you didn't see while I was making the biscuits, just enter it in the comments. Any ideas share your ideas if you like in my comments. And I'd love it if you like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe, please. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully the next video, I won't receive a phone call. Should it disabled the call-in feature while I'm videoing, but I'll know to do that next time. You guys have a great rest of your Thursday.